Diablo 2 Resurrected is set to launch later this year, but which is the best class to play? Will you venture out once again as the Paladin for signature sword board, or perhaps the mighty Amazon's javelin appeals? Or even as a Barbarian, spinning like a top? Yeah, you get the idea. This is Tales for Lord Dash, breaking down the best class for you in Diablo 2 Resurrected.
Not even death can save you from me.
Assassin. We start off with the Assassin, the deadly agents of the Vizjaktar, a close quarters combatant who blends martial arts with mastery over deadly traps and augmenting her own physical and mental prowess with discipline over the very shadows to which she clings. While she is a powerful adversary, she's also a little tougher to master for first-time players. Unlike more basic melee classes like our next subject, the Assassin gains much from focusing on multiple skill trees, which makes the focused allocation of skills a lot less feasible for this class. But if you're willing to spend enough time analyzing and balancing skills, or maybe a little research into a few builds, then this is a truly awesome class. Now, perhaps the Assassin is too technical for you, and you want nothing more than to tear into the battle with weapons that shouldn't be physically possible to wield simultaneously.
There are many foes here.
Barbarian. Hailing from the mountains of Ariat comes the Barbarian, a massive bulwark of flesh and steel, bolstered by the spirit of his ancestors. The Barbarian dominates with physical might and intimidating presence, choosing mastery over weapons to mystical powers or jibes and gambles. The pure combat prowess of the Barbarian makes him either a great entry-level class to the game, or an epic, daredevil, frontline combatant. However, the focus on pure melee makes the Barbarian seem a bit one-dimensional. Granted, everything you swing on is going to feel the heft of your might, but as a living meat shield, not to mention the grand lack of focus on ranged combat save for a handful of skills, you'll have to dig in deep for gear with high defense and resistances, or be prepared to chug down healing potions like your life depended on it, because it will. Wield simple melee weapons, giant tools of havoc, or even dual-wield giant swords not meant to be held in one hand alone. However, if all of this is too meat-headed for you, perhaps you're more interested in a class with a little bit more magical quality. Sorceress. Ice, fire, lightning. These are the forces commanded by the Sorceress of Zanisu, one of two mage clans formed by the ancients. The mighty Sorceress is the purest form of ranged offense in Diablo 2, tearing entire throngs of the demonic hordes apart with waves of lightning, huge balls of ice, and flaming meteors. This also makes her a class that is heavily reliant on mana usage and mana potion management. However, this is easily mitigated later on in levels with reduced mana costs, increased mana, and increased mana regeneration to complement her growing magical prowess that is sure to maximize the damage against the darkness. If you're ready for that trial, then the Sorceress is for you. And longtime veterans of the series will absolutely know what I'm talking about as they gear up once again themselves to brandish stave and sphere to obliterate their enemies. Now maybe you want the best of both worlds, physical and magical. Perhaps you want to take on the burning hells as an avatar of divinity. Paladin. The Knights of Westmarch, forged by the great Zakharum general Rakkus, who fought the barbarians of the north and the adherents of Leoric from Tristram, who absorbed the Order of Paladins, send one of their own east to combat the rising darkness. While seemingly another skilled diversity recommended class, the Paladin actually makes for some very simplistic yet supremely powerful builds. Additionally, you can dominate with either melee or ranged magical abilities such as Fist of the Heavens and Blessed Hammer, augmented by powerful and versatile auras that can boost resistances, or even make the enemy suffer horrendously with area damage from Holy Fire, Frost, and Shock, or from their own strength amplified by Thorns. Paladins also make great companions in multiplayer as their auras extend to all party members and their pets, which is even a function of the Act 2 mercenaries if you're venturing alone and don't have a paladin handy, or you want a second active aura to further aid you in your travels. These holy vanguards light the way in the darkest of times. Or perhaps you were looking for something a little less churchy Maybe your holy magic comes from nature itself. Well, then it might be time to take a walk on the wild side. With the mighty Druids of Skullsglen. The ancient Vasily once foresaw the return of the Druids to Ariat during a great siege by the primevals, and thus one came. Wielding the power of storm and primal nature of the world itself, as well as the primal essence of animal spirits both within and as companions. The Druid is a perfect blend of melee and magical focus. Take point on shape-shifting and become a terrifying melee beast, or become the avatar of nature's fury by calling immense storms, chilling winds, and molten earth and fire. Another mana-heavy class, however, the Druid can take a little practice to get used to the demand, but is still a really great class to start out and mess around on. We're coming to our last two. You still with us? Then let's discuss the mighty warriors of the Askari tribe. Amazon. Nomad warriors who roam the lower fields of Honduras, hailing from the legendary islands of Scovos, the powerful Amazons wield spear and bow into the fray. The Queen of Clear. The sheer offensive potential of the Amazon puts her nearly on par with the Barbarian, and magic blends as seamlessly into her repertoire as the Paladin does, making her a perfect and highly powerful blend of both playstyles. Senselessly impale your foes with skills that focus on spears and javelins, ranging from melee supremacy to elemental might, which is also seen in their bow and crossbow skills if you want to focus on pure range prowess with elemental arrows, explosive arrows, pepper fire with multiple shot, and trick shots with guided arrow and strafe. And just like the Assassin and Barbarian, you can bolster her overall combat effectiveness with passive abilities and even build up to summon a Valkyrie, a powerful spirit ally to aid in the Amazon's crusade. However, many builds will keep you focused on micromanaging ammunition like bolts, arrows, and javelins, a paltry expense of gold at later levels, but can be annoying at times nonetheless. Necromancer. The darkness breeds, along with many other things, deeply mysterious and misunderstood creatures. None know this darkness better than those who delve into its very nature themselves. The Necromancers are trained in many forms of magic: primal, elemental, blood, and even necromancy. They can summon hordes of skeletal warriors and mages, golems of earth, flesh, iron, and flame. They can even summon the souls of the fallen back to the world to serve them against their own. They call upon the dragon Tragul to launch shards of spirit energy in the form of teeth and spear, erupt corpses to devastating effect, and infect their enemies with devastating poisons. All of this while channeling the inner energies of the enemies to infect them with curses, weakening their forces. The Necromancer is a truly intimidating magic user, and a great class to start with, as Summonmancers leave not only a lot of free-form fun with command over an army of skeletons, but a base build for a lot of other builds that fare better in in-game than others. Okay, so admittedly I'm a bit of a Necronut, and I can't wait to play a Necromancer again at the launch of Diablo 2 Resurrected. But whoever you play, you're sure to have an awesome time, and I hope these little insights into the lore surrounding these classes gets you even more excited with some real motive to your adventures. As if you needed anything more than slay the Lords of Hatred, Terror, and Destruction yet again in full, glorious HD 3D graphics in Diablo 2 Resurrected. See you there!